You see that guy right there? Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. I wouldn't want to have to try and block him. But I digress. And I'm going to let Teddy introduce our guest.
Today's guest is known for his incredible blocking in the National Football League. A man hailing from Brooklyn, New York, he has played for the San Francisco 49ers for 12 years. This gentleman is not only a former NFL Pro Bowler, but also a three-time first-team All-Pro. From the University of California, Los Angeles, go Bruins, give it up for Mr. Randall Cross.
How you doing, guys? Good
How
to
you
be
doing,
on.
Andy?
Hey, don't short me that extra year. I was 13 years, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Come on, Teddy. Do you know how much an
Teddy,
NFL season
hey,
takes on?
Teddy, it's all that stuff. You read 76 through 88, but you got to count the first one and the last one. That's 13. There you go.
There we go. You can't shortchange him. But Randy,
yeah.
first off, how's your Saturday going? How's everything with your family? It's good barbecue weather, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. Actually, if you check out my Instagram and my Twitter, I've got a like knitted pork belly bread thing going on my smoker right now for the last few hours. If you check out the pictures, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's going to be pretty epic.
Oh, I love that. And Randy, we're going to talk about barbecuing at some point, but we want to talk about Randy Cross, the man himself. And let's get in the time machine and go back and start with the early years. So you're born in New York, and by the time you're in high school, you're on the other side of the country, attending Crespi Carmelite High School in California. Wow, I like that name. Did I say it right?
Crespi Carmelite. Yeah, it's there's a lot. There's Carmelite high schools and schools all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
A few in LA and Chicago, all sorts of places.
Okay. So I think that people need to know that you're a three-time high school shot put champion. And not only that, but you defeated world record holder Terry Albritton and future WWF wrestling star Jim Neidhart in the process. Your record for the 12-pound high school shot put is still a school and stadium record. So we need to give you kudos for stuff before your NFL career.
Yeah, I mean the wild thing about my shot putting is I didn't lift weights until probably my second year in the pros in the NFL.
Really?
I never touched weights in high school. It was simple. I every time I lifted, I got really, really sore, and I didn't like being really, really sore. So I figured out if you don't lift, you won't get really, really sore. Yeah, can't. I was me using my kidneys. But we were so crazy. I had a shot put coach by the name of Harry Welsh, who was also a pretty legendary high school football coach. But our athletic director, Bill Leeds, was just a complete maniac for technique, and you had to do everything perfect, and there was a certain way to do it. And we drilled and drilled and drilled. So a lot of my success, besides, being born with an ability I probably had no idea I had until I was about 15, 16 years old, was that drilling and the form. Because the furthest I ever threw a 12-pound with a big-time foul was almost 70 feet.
Wow.
And my senior year, I threw the 16-pound 60 feet.
Wow.
So yeah. But point of reference, Terry Albritton, I think my throw in the state meet was 67-2, and Terry was just behind me. And 2 years later, Terry threw the 16-pound shot 72 something. I mean, he was,
Sounds like a beast.
he was. I mean, senior in high school, I think Terry was like 6'5", 275. So, and he was strong. So it's I'm pretty proud of that sort of aspect. It's always fun because whenever my school does get somebody that's pretty good, they always find a way to kind of reach out and, hey, so-and-so's, he's at 57 feet as a sophomore. He's going to come and get you. Like, hey, it can't last forever. So I guess somebody's going to get it, but go for it.
So, Randy, I have to ask, why did you attend school on the other side of the country?
Well, my dad was an actor. So back in the dark ages, also known as the 50s, The TV business was in New York. It wasn't in LA. Movies, but TV was a spinoff basically of radio. So it was in studios in New York, and about 58 or so, it started really become much more prevalent in Los Angeles. So my family moved to LA in about 58. Us and the Dodgers about the same time, and that's how I ended up in LA. And then I was in public school for part of my career. I mean, I went to one Catholic school when we were in a city called Pacoima, but then we moved over to Tarzana. I went to public school, went to go to Crespi, and my dad's idea, really, because he told me I was going to do it. It was a Catholic all-boys high school. So I don't know where you guys went to school, but it was a pretty severe cultural shift to go from public school in LA to a Catholic all-boys school.
Yeah.
I didn't want any part of it, but it's probably, thank God for my dad. It was probably the best thing that ever happened to me for a lot of reasons and a lot of the people I was associated with.
Yeah. And I mean, Randy, you moved to LA, and your next step for football, you go to UCLA. And I want to say you must be open-minded, because you began your career as a center. You moved to right guard. Your junior year, before playing guard and center as a senior, you're on a rotating 9-man offensive line. You also kept the diversity of sports going as you played collegiate rugby, which I've seen a lot of football guys do. I mean, you're playing the brutal sports, and rightfully so. You're inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2010. So you must have been doing some things right.
Yeah. No, it was. Excuse me. It was a pretty cool time to be at UCLA. The rugby was fun. The football. I had two head football coaches, Pepper Rogers for 2 years and Dick Vermeil for 2 years. My offensive line coach for all 4 years was Terry Donahue, which was another. I mean, I had a theme in my career of UCLA guys. All my high school coaches played with Terry Donahue on the '66 Rose Bowl team at UCLA. And then later on, when I got to San Francisco, when Walsh got there in '79, he hired Bob McKittrick, who was a former UCLA offensive line coach who coached the Chargers and the Rams and was Tommy Protho's coach, up at Oregon State. So my career was a series of UCLA guys.
So, Randy, it seems like UCLA runs in your life, also runs in your blood, as you were inducted into this prestigious group. What were your feelings and emotions when you found out you were inducted to the College Hall of Fame?
I was pretty excited. I honestly, it's a very unique way of finding out. Unless you've got a little CIA and it's hard to find out where you are in the process. So, and I hadn't really given it much thought. But Terry Donahue and Pepper Rogers and a couple of my coaches have been very diligent about, putting me up. And I got a box in the mail, and I opened the box, and I opened it up, and it was shrink wrapped, and I took the shrink wrapped off, and it was a painted football from the National Football Foundation that said, "Congratulations to Randy Cross, College Football Hall of Fame, class of 2010, UCLA, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, that's really cool. Which one of my stupid friends has got a really sick sense of humor?
I love that's where your mind first went.
Couple of hours later, I actually got a phone call from somebody from the foundation, making sure I'd gotten the ball and that I knew what was going on. But yeah, no, I was really excited. I was had a great group of guys. Like you said, that rotating offensive line was very, very unique. There were 9 guys. So on the first 5, I played right guard. On the second 5, I played center. And I've never seen that on too many other teams before or since then. It's pretty unusual, but we just wore people down. We ran the Houston veer. We hadn't run the wishbone. So it was a run, and if you can't run, just run it again, kind of an offense.
So, I mean, look, you're decorated in UCLA, and it's only fitting you stay in California for your entire career, is you're selected in the second round of the 1976 draft by the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I don't assume people drank on draft night /day, But if you did, what did you drink?
Now, I actually remember I was on the West Coast. So when that draft got going, I was kind of hard to find. But I was sitting in the kitchen at my parents' house waiting for the phone to ring. That's how I spent, the better part of the draft day. Got a phone call about pick 24 in the first round. Cleveland called me, said they were going to make me their number one pick.
Lies.
Like an idiot. My first comment was, Cleveland, like Ohio? It snows there, doesn't it? Snow is not big on an LA kid's radar. But yeah, so needless to say, they didn't draft me. They drafted Mike Pruitt, a fullback out of Purdue, played for him for a good while. But San Francisco did, and I was lucky. I got to go to a team that was being coached by a guy named Monty Clark, who was a legendary O-line coach for the Miami Dolphins, the perfect team, and all those Super Bowl teams. It was very fortuitous, but between 76 and Monty Clark and Bill Walsh in 79, not a whole long time. Bill Walsh was my 5th head coach.
Really?
So people talk about change and how all this impatience in football and it's a product of all the money. No, when we weren't making stink, they were still impatient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, it's funny because you didn't go a lot of change of your career. The 13 seasons in Teddy, he played 13. So I want you to remember that. It's pretty decorated. 3 Pro Bowl selections, 3 first-team All-Pro selections, 3 Super Bowls. I mean, you must love that number 3. Most importantly, 6 fumble recoveries, okay? Or help keeping the ball on the offense. But Randy, I have to ask, some organizations don't have any Super Bowls in their career. Some players have played for a while. Maybe they have 1 Super Bowl, 2 Super. I mean, you're fortunate to have 3. At what point does kind of excellence or that Super Bowl standard, are you able to really achieve it? Just to keep going and to constantly hit that highest benchmark.
Well, not like it was my whole career. I mean, 76 we were 8-6. 77 we were 5-9. Both in 78 and 79 we were 2-14. 80 we were 6-10. You throw out another year, 82, during the first strike, we were 3-6. So suddenly you're looking at 7 of my 13 were below 500 kind of years. Or actually,
we're not going to talk about that.
No, but I'm just saying. The standard set started in 81. We pathetically missed our standard on 82 because we had way too much fun as a group. But since then, or after that, from 82 on, the standard it was kind of, people say Super Bowl or bust all the time. That's our goal. But some people say it. It's another thing to kind of live it. And it can be dangerous because that can kind of eat people up. People forget Bill Walsh only coached 10 years in the NFL as a head coach. And, 3 of those years were not very good. So that sort of meat grinder thing where that's always the standard. But he was very honest with us. He'd tell us right up front, every year, beginning of the year, he goes, anywhere from 12 to 20 of you won't be here when we play our first regular season game. He says, we have to get rid of people. We have to improve. If you're good enough to stay, you're good enough to stay. But trust us, we're going to be better. And everybody's goal was pretty much the same thing. And I mean, it's one thing for players and coaches to be like that. But, I think one thing that separated Bill and Eddie DeBartolo was it was everybody from the guy that put mail in the mail slots or cleaned the trash cans or swept up the weight rooms or, designed the game plans or drafted the people. They knew what the goal was. They knew what the standard was. And that was, that's something it wasn't easy to maintain, but between, 81 and the early 2000s, that standard sort of set the standard for the rest of the league.
So I like it. The equipment person is as equal to that Super Bowl run success as the players itself. That's what I'm taking
Absolutely.
away.
Yeah, and not enough people really realize that and
Mhm.
make their people, make their employees, make the people in the organization feel like that. That should, if you're a general manager, you're an owner, that should be your goal. That every single person buys in.
I love that. I love that. And Randy, obviously each position group is going to spend time with each other, film, practice, etc. But it seems like the offensive line is a very close brotherhood with each other, and even the quarterback. And I'm thinking even as recent as the Steelers from a few years ago, their O-line of Ramon Foster, Pouncey, David DeCastro, Alejandro Villanueva, were most of the vets on that team. So the relationship in the brotherhood, is this true? And what would you say kind of the camaraderie of the group is?
Well, it's absolutely true. And when Bill Walsh got to San Francisco in '79, one of the things that everyone talks about drafting that defensive backfield in '81. You know, Ronnie and Eric Wright and Carlton Williamson and signing Dwight Hicks, and that was huge for us. And trading for Fred Dean and whatnot. But when he got there, Keith Fondhorst was there, I was there, Fred Quillen was there, and John Ayers was there. And those four guys, the four of us, we were together for till '86. So, you know, in relatively speaking, it was a pretty good run. And that's one thing they didn't have to worry about. Now, granted, there was no free agency back then. So none of us money grubbers could, you know, try to get that extra buck and go somewhere else. But I think it was one of the kind of untold or underappreciated aspects of building that legacy was the fact that, you know, he didn't have to deal with an offensive line. And fans all over the league right now have come to really appreciate how important offensive lines are.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you even see some of them, Trent Williams is earning the big bucks now. But Randy, your playing career is just one aspect of the life of Randy Cross because you stayed in the entertainment industry. So after you retired after the '88 season, you were a member of CBS Sports, covering the NFC playoffs, Super Bowl 26. From there, you joined NBC Sports as a football analyst and part-time analyst for Notre Dame football. So, I mean, you're just really doing it all.
Yeah. I mean, I was lucky. My first 5 years at CBS was fantastic. NFL was kind of a different place. John Madden was the big dog there. And when he went to Fox, CBS was no longer in the NFL business, which I don't know how many of this current generation would really know and or appreciate that. But when Fox got it, then NBC became or kept the AFC. Fox got the NFC. And then NBC lost the AFC. CBS got that. So, yeah, it's an interesting career path when I look at the fact that I played 13 years in the NFL and now I'm going on 34 years of TV and media, because I've also done a good bit of radio and other stuff like that.
So, Randy, I have two questions in this. Was this inspired that your dad was in the TV kind of thing? And then second, was there a specific reason you picked to be an analyst for Notre Dame?
Well, I'll start with the Notre Dame thing. NBC asked me to, Dick Ebersol. So I did. There was always half a dozen Notre Dame games, home games. So every year they'd play SC or, you know, some other big dog. But it was a hell of a fun assignment. You usually double dipped those weekends, which you see all the time now. I didn't see it that much back then, but you do the Notre Dame on Saturday, then have an NFL game somewhere within that kind of sphere geographically where you could get to the game that night and then do the NFL game the next day, which can be really challenging. But because the college rosters are like 10 times the length of your arm, they seem like at times, where the NFL, they've got X number of guys active every week, and you know who those players are going to be. College, they could pull, you know, there's 3 guys wearing the same number, and there's 10 of those guys. There's 3 of them wearing the same number. It's nuts. It's really nuts, but it's a lot of fun. The broadcast business was kind of inspired by my dad, who early in my UCLA career, I just had a knack of answering questions at times. and started getting a lot of attention from the media standpoint. And he emphasized to me how important being part of the media or getting involved with the media or learning how to talk to the media was. So, I mean, when I was playing, I had my own radio and TV shows. And during the original USFL, which is getting kicked off again here this weekend, I was the analyst for the Oakland Invaders games on local TV. Back then, every local market had to have their own TV package. They had to have a channel that carried their own games. You could have the national contracts, well, I think it was ABC, but you had to have a local contract. And the local contract was with KTVU, which is Channel 2 in the Bay Area. So me and Barry Tompkins did the Oakland Invaders games, which when you're still playing was very, very cool. And it was a huge advantage, you know, a few years later when I actually got out, because I'd done football, and the football I was doing was with, you know, some high quality, you know, network level type talent, both behind the camera and in front of the camera. So it made my transition a lot easier.
Yeah, and you talked about some of the other ventures that you're doing, Sirius NFL Radio, Patriots Pregame, WZGC. You're also in the podcast game, so that technically makes us competitors.
Yeah. I've started doing various. I've changed the name a time or two. It's currently now the Randy Cross Podcast.
That's straight to the point.
I figured I'd make it easier for people to remember. But you know, it's fun. And it's easier to just, I put it at my website, randycross.com. Instead of having to worry about this and this and this and this and Instagram and Twitter, and they're all linked, it's all there. But yeah, it's been 5 or 6 years. And the best thing about it is, for me, is it's not just football. It's not just sports. I do a lot of different kind of subjects. And, you know, that appeals to my sort of ADD mind.
So, Randy, I want to transition to one more thing. Because one of the things we've seen over the years is how players' bodies change after their playing career's over. So former offensive linemen, including Nick Hardwick, Joe Thomas, Damian Woody, have documented how they've changed their diet from 5,000-calorie lunch, eating every 2 hours because their job depends on it, eating in excess, etc. How is your journey with food post-playing?
It's not bad. I mean, at one point I got up to about 310 pounds. I retired, I was 290. And then I went on a stupid regimen. Well, I did like 45 minutes twice a day on the Stairmaster. I quit drinking all alcohol. I was cutting out carbs, and I went from 310 to 2.25. Wow. Yeah, but I'm currently now about 250. And my food, you know, like I said, look at my Instagram feed and look at my Twitter feed. I'm not shy about food and eating.
He's got the grilled shirt on.
Oh yeah. Well,
Love
I mean, it's Easter weekend.
It's
the right colors. Plus, it's kind of an aloha attitude, which I also like.
I can't believe that Teddy didn't plug you as the grill master in his intro.
I should have done that.
But so, Randy, we like to get our guests out of here with a little triple play rapid fire, some this or that questions. They're not all football related. You game?
You got it.
All right. So before we do that, we do have to plug our sponsor. So the Triple Play Fantasy Podcast is sponsored by Odds Jam. So use our referral code Triple Play for a free week trial. So what Odds Jam is going to do is it's going to give you the best lines to win. So let's say the Seahawks were playing the 49ers. The Seahawks are underdogs at plus 140. And you're feeling like, hey, I want to be stupid and bet them, but MGM will give you plus 160. They're going to maximize your winnings, but never bet the Seahawks over the 49ers because the 49ers are better. And that's my one Seahawks jab. But, Randy, as I did mention, we have some rapid fire. So I'm telling you, you haven't been asked some of these.
I'm sure that's possible.
Okay. What's a better feeling, a pancake block or going a whole game without giving up a sack?
I would say you'd be prouder of the game without a sack, of which I had a lot. But the pancake block as an offensive lineman, that's
That's what goes on the highlight film.
Yeah, I mean that's OL porn.
Can we trademark that hashtag OL porn?
OL porn.
All right. Would you rather wear a cape or an eye patch for a month?
Easy eye patch.
Really?
Eye patch. I never played for the Raiders, but why not look like one?
I like that. You're giving some good answers so far. Would you rather owe someone money or owe them a favor?
I'd go with money.
Okay.
Money. There's no ethics involved in owing money.
There's just a dollar amount.
The favor side, that can get a little sticky.
I'm with you on that. So, Randy, this is an important one. Rank these three in order: brisket, ribs, and burgers.
For me, I would go the order you gave them in. Brisket, ribs, then burgers.
So I did go to your Instagram, and you grill a lot of brisket, but really that's number one over ribs?
It's the best tasting smoked meat besides pork belly that I'm going to be grabbing off the grill as soon as I get done here. It's the best thing going. You can't beat it. I think brisket's amazing. Burgers are good. But burgers are more about what you put on them.
That's fair.
You gotta have decent meat, but then it's about what you put on them. Of course, you gotta have bacon. But but I'd go brisket one.
So would you put pork belly then above brisket?
Oh yeah, pork belly. If you smoke meats, that's kind of the holy grail.
Okay, so pork belly, but what kind of sauce are we putting on there?
Well, I'm going to cook up about 1.5 pounds of thick cut like applewood bacon, chop it up, and saute up some onions and garlic. Put a little brown sugar in there.
Money.
Yeah. I'm gonna do it up good. After I slice it all up, pour it over it before I serve it. Why not? You can't have too much swine on swine crime.
That's like food porn, if I'm going to be honest with you. If we got
we got O-line porn and we got food porn here. So, Randy, no social media for a year, the podcast account, your regular account, or you can't grill for 6 months. And it has to be in the nice weather. You can't just, I'll do it in the winter.
Yeah. I don't know. Given the current climate, social media wise, it'd be a lot easier to give that crap up for a year than not do any grilling.
But the caveat with that is you can't put your grilling on social media. You can't show off to the fans.
No, but I live on a golf course. The 6th tee is right out there. So
someone will see it.
Oh, they see it. They smell it for sure. Yeah. It drives people crazy.
Okay. I like that. So this one I did a little bit of stalking on your social media. So would you rather have slow Wi-Fi every time the sun goes down, or every flight for the rest of your life has to be with Delta?
Damn, they're both penalties. I guess I'd go with the slow Wi-Fi.
You really must not like Delta.
I fly it too much. What's that term? Familiarity breeds contempt. I'm very familiar with Delta.
Oh gosh! All right. Well, we're not giving them any endorsements on this pod. Okay.
I mean, I'm a diamond medallion, so it's not like they're shorting my business.
That's true. Okay, Randy, we've got a couple more left. Who's your dream guest for your podcast?
My dream guest. I don't know. As things like I say, I'm a current events kind of guy. I'd love to get Elon Musk on.
Oh, that'd be good.
Elon Musk, that would be fantastic. He or Joe Rogan.
Oh, that's great answers.
Would be fun guys to talk to, and that would be. You'd have to have an open-ended format. Yeah, because it'd be very difficult. And hell, Rogan goes for 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes, but. Those two guys to me would be pretty incredible to talk to.
Well, maybe we can make it happen. I have confidence.
There you go.
So, Randy, would you rather use hot sauce for eye drops or sandpaper for toilet paper?
Geez.
They're both
I guess
bad.
I'd recover from the sandpaper eventually. Eesh. I wouldn't put it that way. Given the choice of those two, I would not put the hot sauce in my eye.
Thank you. Most
Yeah.
people are like, well, think about the nature of what you're using. I was like, think about how bad that hurts to have a hot sauce in your
See,
eyes.
but if you know anything about sandpaper, they're not all double-sided. You get the one-sided sandpaper, you just flip that sucker over, and then you got the name of the company and all that on the back, but
I
you can
didn't
use
know
that instead
that.
of the rough side.
Cheating.
Yeah.
Randy, you're very insightful. All right. For this next question, you're in your prime. Would you rather fight Mike Tyson once, or you have to talk like him the rest of your life?
Wow. That's another guy I'd like to talk to on the podcast. No one in their right mind would choose getting in the ring with 15-year-old, 20-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old Mike Tyson. That is not an option. So I guess I'd have to go with B.
Okay. You're a smart man, Mandy. You're really smart. So the last one here, your birthday's coming up in the next week and a half. What plans do you got?
I was getting grilled last night. Speaking of grilling, by my wife about what I want for my birthday. My kids are always all over. What do you want? And they always buy me something that's barbecue related or golf related, or I don't know. I don't need much. Give me some golf balls, that type of thing. But something golf related or something grill related is usually pretty safe.
Okay. I mean, I feel like you have to let someone else do the grilling on your birthday, right?
Outside, no, I don't think so. I could just default to old reliable as far as what you want for gifts, and that's cash is king.
That's true.
If you never go wrong giving just straight dead presidents for
That's
any
true.
celebration. It's a little extra celebration. It's like a party, an extra balloon at a party and bringing cash.
Yeah. Especially if they want to upgrade from the George Washingtons, the Abraham Lincolns, the Thomas Jeffersons. I mean, we can start throwing some Andrew Jacksons.
Oh, gotta go
Grants.
Benji. Gotta go Benji.
Yeah. I mean, Benji, the one that wasn't the president, we'll put on there. But
yeah,
Randy, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. It was a pleasure. Before we get you out of here, where can people find you on the socials? Is there anything you want to plug? Are you selling some of the brisket and good meats that you're chefing up?
No. I get a lot of people say that I should have a restaurant and do that kind of thing, which is not a bad idea. But no, randycross.com is a place to go to get my podcast and all that other fun stuff. CBS Sports and CBS Sports Network for my work these days. College football all over the country, plus all the Navy home games, and then Inside College Football every Tuesday night with Adam Zucker, Rick Neuheisel, Aaron Taylor, and Brian Jones. We've been together for about 10, 12 years, and if you haven't seen it, check it out on Tuesday night. It's about as much fun as a group of guys can have just sitting around talking football, much as you can imagine.
Yeah, and you can check him on the socials because I'm going to plug it for him. He's on Twitter at RandyCrossFB. He's on Instagram at rcross51. Randy, we got you. You're less than 1,400 or 1,500 followers. We got to get that count up because you're posting some good-looking food on there, man.
Yeah, I'm fairly ignorant on getting that up and how you do that. I'd love to have more. I just have very little patience for that process, I guess.
Hey, send them his way, guys.
Yep. Yeah, make sure.
Thank you.
So make sure that you check Randy out on all of those. Make sure you check out Randy's career as well. He's an interesting guy and interesting with never something dull in his life. But everybody who tunes into Triple Play, we appreciate you watching. Make sure you go check out some of Randy's stuff. We'll catch you guys on the next one. We're going to make like a bread truck and haul these buns. That was for you, Randy.